This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Bruchim Abayim, a few imponderables on Parshas Emor. A few imponderables on Parshas Emor. Ki'im l'sheiroi, Rashi says, who's she'eroi ishtoi? Why is a person's wife called she'er? Sifsei Chacham says, she'er is a lashon of basar. Now, this is not the only time in the Torah that the Torah talks about a wife. Why Davka in Parshas Emor, when it talks about a kohen being metamet to a relative, does it say Ishtoi is a lashon of she'er, a lashon of basar? Why Davka here? Then we have Ushmartem va'asisem, right after the mitzvahs of kahuna and kohanim not being balei mumen. So it says Ushmartem va'asisem. Ushmartem, Rashi says, is the Mishnah. Va'asisem is Maisa. Very nice, that's beautiful. What in the world does it have to do with the laws of kahuna? Could have said Ushmartem va'asisem in any parsha. Could have been in Kedoshim, could have been in Acharei Mos, could have been in any parsha in the Torah. Could have said Ushmartem va'asisem. Next, this week's parsha we have an amazing mitzvah. The mitzvah of V'nikdashti b'soich b'nei Yisrael. Says Rashi, what's the mitzvah? To give up your life al Kiddush Hashem. Also, an amazing mitzvah. What's that got to do with anything in Parshas Emor? We have the mitzvahs of kahuna in the beginning of the parsha, a mitzvah of a kohen not being metame, only being metame to relatives, and a kohen can't be a baal mum, and a carbon can't be a mum. And then Hashem says, if ever put to the ultimate test, you need to give up your life al Kiddush Hashem. It's a very beautiful mitzvah. It's got nothing to do with the price of tea in China. What's this mitzvah doing in the middle of Parshas Emor? You ever wonder about that? What's it doing here? And then the next pasuk is Hamoitzi eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim. Rashi says Almanas Cain. I took you out of Egypt with this stipulation. What? God took us out of Egypt on condition that if ever put to the ultimate test, we'd give up our life al Kiddush Hashem? Since when was that the condition? Where do we ever see such a condition? There's 613 mitzvahs. Why doesn't it say by tzitzis? I took you out of Egypt so that you wear tzitzis. Why are we making that the entire Yetzias Mitzrayim was stipulated based on the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem? Then we have the mitzvah of Sfiras HaOmer, which begins Mimachras HaShabbos. Rashi says, oh, what's Machras HaShabbos? The day after Pesach. I don't understand. Rashi, a few psukim earlier, by the mitzvah of bringing the carbon omer, it says in the pasuk you should bring him Mimachras HaShabbos. Rashi says the day after Pesach. So why does Rashi need to say again, you start counting Sfira, Mimachras HaShabbos, the day after Pesach? We got that already. The carbon omer is brought Mimachras HaShabbos. There Rashi said it means the day after Pesach. Would I think that you start counting Sfira a different Mimachras HaShabbos? Okay. The next question. This one is really good one. Such a good question, no one's going to have an answer. Okay, I'm just challenging you. I don't want anyone going to sleep tonight. Don't say, okay, I had a good Suda and I had a long week, I'm just going to hit the sack. I don't want anyone to go to sleep tonight unless you give a krechs at least that you don't know the answer to this question. You got to make an attempt. I want a legitimate attempt to answer this question. You know, in the middle of the Yom Tovim, smack in the middle of the Yom Tovim, after Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, before the Yom Tif of Pesach, it says the mitzvah of Leket, Shikha, and Peah. So Rashi says, what is it doing here in the middle of the Parsha of the Regalim? This has nothing to do with the Yom Tif. Says Rashi, to teach you that if you give Leket, Shikha, and Peah, it's like you built the Mizbeach and you brought your karbanos. That's what it's doing in the Parsha of the Mayadim. If you give Leket, Shikha, and Peah, it's like you brought all the karbanos of Yom Tif. Dear friends, wrong Parsha. This Parsha of the Moyadim is not the Parsha of Karbonos. This Parsha actually doesn't talk about the Karbonos you bring on Yom Tov. Parshas Emor is the mitzvahs you do on Yom Tov. Parshas Pinchas are the Karbonos you bring on Yom Tov. So if you want to teach that if you give Leket Shikha and Peah, it's like you brought the Karbonos, then the Parsha of Leket Shikha and Peah should be in Pinchas, where it talks about the bringing of the Karbonos, not in Emor, where it doesn't talk about the bringing of the Karbonos. So if you're going to put Leket Shikha and Peah in this week's Parsha, then the limud should be that if you give Leket Shikha and Peah, it's like you took a lulav and esrog and you blew the shofar and you fasted on Yom Kippur and you ate matzah. But not that you brought the Karbonos, it's not the Parsha of Karban, wrong Parsha. Okay, next. This question is so good, I think there must be some kind of Tas Sofer in my Chumash. Maybe there is. Parak Chav Gimel Pasuk Lamed Hey. Rashi says on the words Mikra'ei Kodesh, you should sanctify it with tefillah and ksus nikiyah. And Rashi says by other Yamim Tovim, Rashi says with ksus nikiyah, tefillah, and food. Here's the thing. Rashi says this by Sukkos. He should say it by Yom Kippur. You sanctify it with ksus nikiyah and tefillah, and by other Yom Tovim food. But why would he say it by Sukkos? On Sukkos you also sanctify it with food. I don't know, there must be some mistake in my Rashi that the comments of Rashi were printed on the wrong pasuk. I don't know, do you have a different gersa in your Rashi? Okay. Next. By the Yom Tov of Sukkos it says, Leman yedu daroisechem kivasukai so Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Yeah, I am Hashem. That's a chiddush. We didn't know that. Now, usually when it says Ani Hashem, Rashi says Neman li para, Neman l'shalem schar. But why would it say it by Sukkos, Ani Hashem Elokeichem? Why not by Pesach? Why not by Rosh Hashanah? Why not by Yom Kippur? Why does it? Rashi doesn't even say anything. If Rashi would have said l'shalem schar like he usually does, okay, I would ask why dafka here. But Rashi doesn't even tell us what it's trying to say. Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Next, why is the parsha the Mekalel after the parsha the Moyadim? Now I understand Rashi says that it's connected to the Lechem Hapanim. But here's my question. We said Ata Tetzaveh Shemen Zayazach is a remez to Chanukah. Lechem Hapanim is a remez to Purim. So we have all the Yomim Tovim. And then the story of the Mekalel? What's the connection between the Mekalel and the Moyadim? That's my question. What is the connection between the Mekalel and the Moyadim? Okay, one more. So Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't know what to do with the Mekalel. So he puts him in Mishmar. I was very careful, my kids came home from Mishmar Thursday night. And when I was doing Mavra Sedra, I was wondering, why the yeshivas call learning Mishmar? I mean, we only have the word jail one time in the Chumash, and especially in our generation, they're so sensitive to make sure everything is so positive. So what do they call extra learning? Jail for capital offense. The only mishmar in the Torah is somebody who they had to lock up before they were stoned. Okay. Anyway. So Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't know what to do, so God says we have to stone him. But Hashem says, by the way, if you hit someone, we kill you. And if you damage someone, you pay. And if you damage an animal, you gotta pay. Huh? What's that got to do with anything? Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have questions about what to do if somebody hits somebody, or if somebody hits an animal. What's that doing here? What's this whole thing doing here? Moshe had one question. We don't know what to do with the guy who curses Hashem. So why is Hashem reviewing Parshas Mishpatim over here? And then Hashem says, by the way, if you think Gerim have a different din, no. Mishpat echad lachem. Regular home thoroughbred Jews and Gerim, they all have the same din. Why does Hashem teach this dafka in response to the story of the Mekalel? Okay, all these questions, these are good ones this week. Very good imponderables. Okay, so you have your homework this week. And I know Shabbos starts late. You're going to have to make an early Shabbos. That's all. Okay, maybe we'll do a little Pirkei Avos today, okay?
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.